Hello and welcome to my review of The Green Hornet, the Michel Gondry superhero movie starring Seth Rogen, Jay Chow, Cameron Diaz, and Christoph Waltz. This story centers on Britt Reed, played by Seth Rogen, who's the heir to a giant journalism empire laid down by his father. The problem is that he's a lazy slacker who spends most of his mornings hungover on the floor. But when his father is killed by a bee sting, just go with it, he enlists the help of his friend Kato, played by Jay Chow, to clean up the streets as the Green Hornet and Kato. And they basically take on the underworld, headed up by Christoph Waltz. Now look, there's been a lot of negativity involved with this film, a lot of negative press, a lot of just... It's been a tough road getting this film to be made, and a lot of the fans just don't think it'll work. They think having Seth Rogen in the lead role insults the integrity of the original 60s TV show. You guys really need to lighten up. The original Green Hornet was about a step up from the 60s Batman TV show in terms of like campiness and comedy, and this movie is absolutely everything you could want from an adaptation of a show like that. This is one of the most fun movies I've seen in a little while. Yeah, I actually loved the first movie I saw this year. How often does that happen? 2011, looking pretty good. This movie is a great action comedy. It really mixes both aspects very well, and it's the best of both worlds. It's the best of a Seth Rogen comedy, and it's the best of a crazy Michel Gondry movie. First, let's start out with the comedy and the performances. They were all really funny. Like, there's nobody here that's great. I mean, Seth Rogen, not always believable in this superhero outfit fighting people, but that was why the movie was funny, is because what this movie does, pretty much, is that it makes its hero a screw-up, and it makes the sidekick just a complete badass. And that's such a funny riff on what the superhero movies have genuinely been. And Seth Rogen, as this screw-up superhero, is actually really funny. I agree he could have been made a little more likable, but the movie, like I said, is not really about that. It's about the relationship between the Green Hornet and Kato. And I thought they nailed that. The fact that they didn't always get along, the fact that he was constantly jealous of all these great stuff Kato could do. It's fun stuff, and it's funny stuff. And despite what all of you might say about Seth Rogen not being perfectly suited for this role, I think he absolutely was. Who is a little out of place here, while good, is Oscar winner Christoph Waltz. Now, his character in this film is a funny concept. It's the concept of a villain going through a midlife crisis kind of thing, which is very funny and very well written. But after seeing him in Inglourious Basterds, where he was terrifying, this character just doesn't fit him for me. He did a solid job, and his character was very funny, but I could have seen someone else in this role. In fact, the original choice, which was Nicolas Cage, I think would have been a lot funnier, because I can just see that character on Nicolas Cage a little more. But don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Christoph Waltz's performance. Now, the movie is very funny. It's a little immature, sure, but just a lot of the dialogue in it, it's one of those movies that if you quote movies, you'll quote it for a little while, because there's just a lot of great little lines in there, and just a lot of the dialogue is just very quick and very funny. And another thing that was surprising about this movie is that the action scenes are actually really, really solid. Like, they deserve, like, a big budget. Excuse me. They deserve, like, a big, like, summer movie to be in, because they're just, like, absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of nice car chases, even some good shootouts. I mean, it's a nice variety of action, and it's just well done, well filmed, nicely stylized. Michel Gondry, who directed this film, he's previously done some very, like, style-oriented films, and it really shows here in a couple of the action sequences, especially when it goes into Kato vision, which is, like, this crazy thing that goes on in Kato's head. When he's kicking ass, he's like the way he explains it is that when time slows down as his heart rate goes up, so you're like seeing everything through his eyes, sort of, as like things are lighting up, and you're seeing how he connects each shot to each person's body, and it's just brutal and really, really fun to watch. And there, like I said, there's just a couple good car chases, a couple good shootouts, and it's just a solid action movie as well as being very funny. Overall, The Green Hornet is not only a solid Seth Rogen comedy, but it's also a great action comedy and a good buddy flick. And it's a great way to start off the year. I really enjoyed myself. I'm going to give it a solid 3 stars out of 4 just because I did have a couple flaws with it. Like, there's some pretty underpaced character development. and just a lot of little flaws here and there, but it was such a fun movie. I walked out of there with a big smile on my face, and I actually absolutely recommend that you people go see it.